Solomon Rivers is a Christian artist, producer, and songwriter based in Northern Virginia, dedicated to using music to glorify God and encourage others in their faith. A graduate of Liberty University with a Bachelor's of Science in Commercial Music, he creates Christ-centered hip-hop and R&B, inspired by artists like Lecrae. I don't know how to say the other one.
Aha Gazelle.
Okay, yes.
Aha Gazelle, you're
And
good.
Hulvey.
Killing it.
I opened for Torey D'Shaun at the Juneteenth concert at KA in 2024 and Hulvey at Liberty Block Party 2025. His mission is to point people to Christ through music and inspire them to always flow forward in their God-given purpose. Welcome to the podcast, Solomon.
Let's go. Hey, Hannah, I appreciate you for, again, for reaching out and
Yeah,
to having me on here, man. It's a blessing, for sure.
thank you. Yeah, so on the Saved and Sealed podcast, I like to get to know people's stories and their testimonies. So, kind of start wherever you would like. I would like to know who Solomon is and maybe even how he got into music or specifically the part that you were delivered, like where the Lord stepped in and you were changed.
Of course. Yeah, I'm thinking of like trying to organize this in the correct timeline the best I can.
Oh, hmm.
All right, because like the last couple of interviews, I was like all over the place. So I'm gonna try to keep it like in
You're
order.
good. You're
But yeah,
good.
bro. So yes, who is Solomon? Solomon Rivers, yes. So I was originally born in Cary, North Carolina in 2024, August 28th. That was my birthday. At 2 years old, I found out from my parents that I was diagnosed with autism, which I was on the spectrum. And while I was like growing up, like in North Carolina, I used to be like a very shy kid, like very shy, like nonverbal, and just kind of like close-ended, standoffish type of dude from how I was before. And I was just living out my life, doing all these different things, like growing up, having a normal childhood, just like with like childhood shows, like with PBS Kids, Nickelodeon, all that stuff. And and yeah, and we used to live in Raleigh. It was just, yeah, I was just growing up and I met one of my childhood friends there in
Awesome.
Raleigh. And then as my family, we're as we were living there, wherever my dad was working at, we we tend to like move from like city to city and then like state to state while I was in North Carolina, going from Cary and then all the way to Apex. And due to like with like the job situations, and then along with and also, yeah, living at Apex, like one of our good church friends of ours in North Carolina was willing to let us stay at their place until we move into another city, which was a blessing. And just like growing up around that time, like also this might be off topic, bro, but something about me, I like Sonic the Hedgehog, like game franchise. Started playing, started like playing it on the PS2, my older brother's PS2, and
Mhm.
ever since then I started falling in love with the franchise. So I even just started playing Sonic as I was growing up, like being in Raleigh, and up until when we moved to Charlotte, I forgot which year we moved. We moved from up to Charlotte, and that's when I just started to grow a passion with sports, like starting to play football. Carolina
Wow.
Panthers is still my NFL team till this day, and along with the
Mhm.
Hornets, and started started like playing, started getting into sports, which mainly again that's football, basketball. From like before, it's like baseball, soccer, but those are not like my mains. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, and yeah, and so while I was in Charlotte, I was going to Hickory Grove Baptist Church around that time, and we are, yeah, sorry about
Mhm.
that.
You're good. You're
Yeah,
good.
so I wasn't, so
Mhm.
yeah, this was when we were in yeah, so Hickory Grove Baptist Church, that's where, we went around that time, and it's like, and I remember because like, oh yeah, and one thing I forgot to say is that I did grow up in church. So
I love
like starting off in the internet, yeah. So I grew up in
Mhm,
church, like mainly like in RIC, that's Raleigh International Church, but
mhm,
sadly got shut down. But pretty much mainly grew up with listening to gospel music like Kirk Franklin, Ty
mhm,
Tribbett, Jacqueline Carr,
mhm.
Tasha Cobbs, and so
Yeah.
forth. I grew up to listening with a lot of gospel while I was growing
Mhm.
up as well, coming from Raleigh, moving to Apex, and up to Charlotte, and then also was discovering like even like mainstream hip hop while I was in Charlotte, while I was playing football and basketball. And when I be going to my church at youth, I be hearing like KB and Lecrae just like
I
bumping,
love it.
like mainly
My
like
favorite.
KB, Lee, Tadashi, like mainly one of the guys that were in Reach Records around that time, which was like
Mhm,
2015, 2014. I think this was like when Lecrae dropped Anomaly, I think.
mhm.
And yeah, the more I started listening to it, I'm like the more I wanted to get into their music, get into Christian rap. And like my first Christian rap song was "All I Need Is You" is by Lecrae, and that was like where it started for me. Which it played on the radio while like my dad were just like driving everywhere, like even if it's practice. I mean, yeah, that was the first song that got me into Christian hip hop. And time skipping to summer camp, Camp Paradise. That's
Mhm.
what it was called it back in Hickory Grove. Like near the end of Hickory Grove, near the end of like summer camp, I started writing my first ever rap. And
Wow.
it's somewhere on my YouTube, which
Mhm.
old stage name used to be called the Swag Boss King. The Swag Boss King stage name. But then I already changed it. But I'm gonna get into that too. Ooh. So yeah,
Yeah.
swag, that's where it started. That's where I started rapping 2016. And that's where I got my inspiration, like listening to like Lecrae, KB, and I'd be like, hey, I want to write
Mhm.
something cool like that. And then that's where it all started for me.
I love
And
that.
yes, and like as I was living in Charlotte, it's like this is like part one, my whole testimony. Like part one,
Mhm.
um, oh shoot. And I did get baptized like during fifth grade.
Wow.
That's when I started to notice the change that the Lord was doing within me. And where I
Mhm.
used to not be that shy kid, that nonverbal person like how I was, but I started to become a lot more social and just being more interactive and just like vlogging a lot. And yeah, I was in my vlog era too, because like it's like I
Mhm.
barely been posting a lot of vlogs though, but mostly like reels. But
Mhm.
it's all cool though. And so leading up into Charlotte, um, oh, I'm trying to think. And yeah, that's up until 2019. That's when we decided to move to Northern Virginia, and that's where I live at
Mhm.
now. Because
Mhm.
mainly just again job situations and also staying together as a family, and to also to um also to have some convenience too, and that would be
Sure.
a lot of gas, like money
Sure.
that's saved when it comes to gas, etc. And
Yeah.
first, I did not want to move. I did not want to move again. So
Mhm.
or I was fine. Me and the rest of my siblings, we were all fine. We liked it here in Charlotte. We were fine from where we're at.
Mhm.
It would have
Mhm.
been different. It would have been different if we did not move to Nova. But
Mhm.
it was a new chapter for us moving to Nova, which it was worth it. And
Good.
like home, and I also used to be homeschooled as well, where I was like, yeah, I was like switched back and forth, like especially while I was during my spectrum, where I was put in like special ed classes, and then they took me
Mhm.
out, and then my mom took me out, and then to stay homeschooled up until
Mhm.
my freshman year in high school while
Mhm.
I was in Charlotte. And then moving to Northern Virginia, that's when we went back to public school
Okay.
and sophomore year. It's like during my sophomore year, this was like before COVID hit. I remember that I was homesick, but the
Mhm.
people at that school, they were like hyping me up and things like that. And like started started like singing like in the whole film room during football, which yes, I continued to play football and then started running track in high school. Gave that a try and just continue from there with sports. And then I was still writing music around that time because like I remember I hit like a whole hiatus. It's like after I after we moved because I was still like adjusting to like this new chapter being from a different state, from like
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte to Virginia, which it was very difficult. It was hard for me around that time, but now
Sure.
things have gotten a lot better while I was in Nova. And so yeah, while I was in high school, made a lot of connections, made a lot of friends there, started to like it there in Nova, and that's when we were like finding different church homes, and Grace Covenant was the church that we found, and that's where I currently have been attending here in
Mm-hmm.
Northern Virginia, and pretty much brought my gifts all the way from there. And after I graduated in high school, man, there's a lot to go down. There's a lot. Well, there's a lot to dig down.
Sure.
While I was in my senior year in high school, been in my first like actual ever relationship. Ended ended good, but ended badly. But it was for the best. It was for
Mm-hmm.
like a learning lesson for sure, even for me. And yeah, still graduated though, and I ended up going to Liberty.
I
And
love that.
so yeah, so my mom, she graduated with her master's, mainly with education and just teaching kids that also have autism. And it helped throughout our tuition when we first went to the
Mm-hmm.
school together, like during tour. Like right when we left from the in-person tour at Liberty, that's when the Lord called me to be able to bring my gifts there to Liberty for my 4 year from the past 4 years. And so yeah, so when I first came in at Liberty, it was it was not that. When I first came into Liberty, I was still going through a breakup that time, but then things started, and then I started to feeling a lot better. Where instead of like missing the person that was at home, now I was like missing Liberty. So it's like flipped, and I still
Mm-hmm.
do to this day. And going up into my sophomore year, and yeah, this was like in the middle. Going to my sophomore year in the spring. This is when I was in the middle of writing my album From the Heart and Soul too. I remember too, I was like at my worst state. It's like I was like stressed, dealing with like type of hurt. Like when I found out my ex around that time was with somebody else after being curious, and just everything else that has been happening in between that caused me to isolate myself. Even one
Mm-hmm.
of my close friends of mine, they knew I was like a light in the whole group, and they can tell that there was something I was off of. And it's like, oof, and a crazy story building up to this worship night. But yeah, I still cannot forget that day.
Yeah.
And so like building up to it, my friend oh no, Ethan, he was talking about in the scripture, like in John, about abiding, and I had a hoodie on that said abide while I was just like kind of sitting in the corner just chilling. Like I usually don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then and like and I told like one of my friends like, hey, I'm gonna go to that worship night. And this is when this is when I was like journaling too. Oh no, I didn't start to journal until my first breakup. But yeah, as like going to the worship night, when I first walked in, I asked them, hey, is there a spot where I can be able to journal like by myself? They're like, no, you can like journal while people are here. Cause like this was at like my friend's house, which they also excuse me, they also planted like a whole church at their own home, and like they're very welcoming. It was like the Davis family, like Chris and the rest of them, and they welcomed everybody into open arms, and
Mm-hmm.
the most loving and most genuine kind people that I ever met. And yeah, one of them, I think it was like Annie, I believe, that was trying to get me involved to socialize with people. And while there's me, just like journaling. And even one of my close friends were telling me like, bro, don't be standoffish or like nonchalant or whatever. But yeah, just try to interact with people the best you can. And like as the worship started, um, it was like very like inclusive as well. And this was like March 1st, 2024. And oh, there's like a lot to that build up to it. Well, I'm
Sure,
just like
sure.
summarizing it. But yeah, also my friend Mac, he played a huge role into like in this so-called canon event of a testimony. If you watch Spider-Man Across the
Mhm.
Spider-Verse, you probably caught that reference. And he continued to keep speaking life into me. I mean, before the worship night, he was telling me to go to like the prayer chapel, which that's what Liberty had around that time. Not around that time, they still do. Because like Liberty, like my school or my alma mater, they do like a 24-hour prayer where
Oh,
they pretty much like do worship like 24/7. I mean, just like throughout the whole day. Like whether if it's like late
mhm.
at night or you're there like in the morning, like 5 a.m., 4 a.m. Yeah, they kept that mug going. And I
That.
decided to go, walked over there with my hoodie on, which I usually don't do that. And
Mm.
just I ended up pulling up. And one of my friends, Blake, he encouraged me with this, saying that Solo, you bring peace around other people. You even bring peace to
Mm.
me, even to the old friend group. Cause like, and I was like, I was so negative around that time, saying that I don't belong in that group. Cause like that group that I was in, it was a lot of like dope men and women of God in that group. Like those are like
Mhm.
one of my close friends. Even though I have not talked to them in a brick, I mean, life has been busy. Life. I mean, things change, but still, like I cannot forget like those people that have been encouraging me that time. Like I'm like they have my heart. Like I appreciate them so much.
Yes, for sure.
And so yeah, I'm all over the place. So
You're
I'm just
okay.
going
Mhm.
straight into the climax. So like right as Mac was like speaking life to me, they were playing "I Trust in God," and then I told him like, "Hey, bro, I need to use the bathroom real quick," and I'm like, "Yeah, I got you." Walked in there, and I saw like my friend Juju was like saying something that the Lord has led him to say, or like speaking some type of testimony. I don't know. It was either way, it was good. And like I remember going into the bathroom and I was telling God, like, God, speak to me in a way that you want to speak to me as I went out the restroom. And as I Trust in God was playing, it was in the key of B. Still remember it in the most. I still remember it like with the neatest details, like the little details.
Mhm.
It goes into the bridge. Like I sought the Lord and he heard and he answered. Right when I got
Mhm.
my keys to surrender to him, he heard, he answered, and the first thing that he spoke to me by speaking through me is just let it all go. Why are you going back to
Mhm.
the things and to the doors that I've already closed? For example, that one relationship back in high school and
Mhm.
confirmed everything that has been said that were true. Like
Mhm.
everything that has been said from my friends and everything that's just filled with life. And
Sure.
like, and the last thing he told me is like, "I love you, Solomon," and I said, "I love you too," and I got,
Oh,
I'm like, and that
wow.
was the most impactful night in my life, and I cannot forget that. And so, like, and I remember like hands were laid. Even my friend David knew. Like we walked up to my friend Jess saying like, "Yo, we gotta pray for Solo," and then like it was just like a whole lot of hands were laid when it happened. I just found myself just like laying on the floor as he continued to speak life. And
Mhm.
like and I want to testify and say that he is real and I'm living proof of a loving God. And
Absolutely.
yeah, my
Mhm.
story still continues. And like bro, I felt so joyful after that. Like, oh my goodness.
Mhm.
And like I still remember that to that day. And kept flowing forward, dropped from the Heart and Soul 2, 2024. And then going into my junior year, I'm trying to think. But yeah, going into my junior year and then sophomore year, ah, 2024, that's when I went to KA. First time
Yes.
counselor. Yes,
Mhm.
I do have to add that in there. And yeah, if it wasn't for my friend Dalton for like telling me about this camp and along with just getting me prepared for this, bro, I don't even know. But also I still miss
Mhm.
it today. Still miss camp to the day, man, over there in Missouri. Met a lot of dope men and women of God. And also that were pouring into me. Like Sham, Peyton, Javante, Zay, those guys, they're like my brothers for real. And then with Tommy,
Really?
Lecrae,
Yes.
and
Same
just
here.
everybody. Yes, like everybody over there at camp, bro. They're like cool peoples, and they also have unique stories and testimonies as well, and like very talented and gifted at what they do. And
Hmm.
oh my goodness, and yeah, oof, ooh, I'm trying to think. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, KA, that was went to KA, and then got into another relationship while I was on my camp high, and oof, got ended up getting hurt again. And of course, we're good friends. And not gonna lie, actually, that's like a whole gist of my testimony. I think I would have cut it there because I don't want to go too deep into
Yeah.
the relationship stuff.
Yeah, you're good. I love that. I can throughout your story, God is just weaved in and out. Well, always in, actually. But like I it kind of mimics mine in a different way because of like the growing up in the church, like being baptized at a pretty young age, getting to know Christ at a young age. And I think there's something so special about knowing him at a young age. Um, you said that Hulvey at Liberty Block Party in 2025. Did you like open for Hulvey or something?
Yes. So while during my junior year, I it's like while I was at Liberty, like there's this
Mhm.
thing called open mic. It was like an event that's held by
Oh,
student activities. That's where I first started, just like getting myself out there and just like building my whole fan base while I was at Liberty. And
I
so
love
how student activities roll is that they have to get familiar with the student artists before they reach out for like different booking opportunities, for example, like block party. And this was like right after I performed in my first coffee house, which pretty much coffee house is like a late night school event that they do every year. And every fall semester it's like a Christmas theme, but it's just like different names, different
it.
naming. And then for the spring semester is personally my favorite my favorite coffee houses with the spring is that they have different themes. And my first coffee house that I performed was like it was like high school theme called Classic Coffee House, which I did never say never did a cut say never because which it both fit my sound like with melodic rap. And I think I remember too while I was like in the library doing my homework, I got that email from the event coordinator of student activities, and they said like, "Hey Solomon, would you want to like open and give this opportunity? Oh yeah, would you like to open for this opportunity for block party?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
let's go." And then yeah, and when I found out, and yeah, and also when I don't know if I should say this, so I'm just gonna just like
Yeah,
sum it up, bro. It's
sure.
like when I found out that Hulvey was opening at Block Party, bro, I was like, yo, this is like a dream come true. Like opening one for one of my favorite artists. It's just
Hmm.
wow.
Yeah,
And yeah, so that's how it came to be with that opportunity at Block Party. And hey, me and my band, we rocked out. That was like
I
my
love it.
first time doing like a whole like a out like a venue concert.
Mhm.
Which I mean, I performed outside before, but that's like my first time ever doing like a whole like big event, like in a whole venue. And like I remember it was like a lot of people were like tapped in, bro. Like
Hmm.
getting my stage POV and like Lord was glorified in it. He was greatly pleased
Hmm.
and
I love it.
also planned to see the best I could.
Sure.
Got a chance to meet Hulvey. That brother is very chill, very genuine,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
kind of fanboyed a little bit, but also to try to keep it professional as I could as well.
Sure.
And like, yeah, he is like such a down to earth guy,
I
and
love it.
also and a W dad too for his kids as
Yeah.
well.
One of my personal favorites of yours is Take My Thoughts Captive.
Yes, that's one
It's
of my. Oh my goodness,
mhm.
underrated.
It's a really powerful song because it's very biblical, but it is so valuable to me because thought life is a struggle. Tending to go to the negative is a struggle. So where did the inspiration behind that kind of come from, and um, what was that like?
Yes, my goodness. Yeah, I love Take My Thoughts Captive. That Joe, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that song has been really slept on, most slept on. It started off as like a songwriting prompt. I was taking this songwriting class in my sophomore year, which was survey of songwriting, and we were given a prompt to be able to write a hook based on scripture.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, it was Philippians 4:8. Well, but then that's where Doubt My Doubts. I mean, I started writing Doubt My Doubts while I was at KAA, which they that song and then Take My Thoughts, they both have
Mm-hmm.
like a whole like connection together, synergy, which is talking about similar
Okay.
things with similar topics. Um, Me, my friend Samson and Roston, we ended up partnering together and then wrote like a hook saying like, hey, I just wrote ended up first writing I'm gonna take my thoughts captive. And then that's when the lyrics start to come through and then came up with the last part of the hook and then we performed it in front of whole class. And then me and Samson, we looked at each other saying like, yo, we should make this as a song. And then we locked in at the studio at my dorm. And yeah, this was recorded at my dorm. And
Wow.
it took like the whole night. I mean, he finished making the beat around like 2 hours and then finished recording like up until like 2 a.m. just for
Wow.
like the original remix. I mean, for the
Mhm.
original, and then recorded Samson's verse for the remix, which I think from when I was at KA, I covered Roston's verse at that time, but now I'm doing like the
Yeah.
version for his
Mhm.
verse. But shout out to them. And that's how the song came to be. It started off as a
Yeah.
prompt, and I started
That's awesome.
verse.
That's
Mm-hmm.
really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that you went to Liberty. There's a lot of even like the sister camp to KA people that go there and
And a
stuff.
cook.
So that's mhm, yeah. So that's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you have a favorite like verse that you've seen throughout your life or any encouragement that you would like?
Yes. Scripture, like Bible verse.
Yeah.
I got you. Philippians 4 verses 8 is one of the verses, and I have it on my sticky note on the back.
Yeah.
One of those verses that I always tell myself I ever since that the first heartbreak in that relationship, it encouraged me to be able to keep continuing to think true thoughts, noble thoughts, commendable, anything that is praiseworthy. And just along with another scripture that's Second Corinthians 10 verses 5. Not it's 10 verse was it it's 10 verse 5, not 10 verse 8. Where it also talks about taking our thoughts captive. That is
Mhm.
obedience to the Lord. And man, there's so much more. I mean, pretty much the whole sticky notes is like maybe one of the verses that plays a huge role into my life.
Yeah, I love that. For the audience, do you have any upcoming events? Anything you're like looking forward to?
Absolutely. So right now, I'm in the process of pitching myself to different churches and
I love
start doing
that.
shows over there. It's like right
Mhm.
now I'm doing a potential set with my home church later next month in July, which I'm looking
Okay,
forward to that.
cool.
And upcoming projects. I mean, like my recent release is called We Made It, which is pretty much a graduation. It's like a graduation song
Yes.
that just mainly just talking about like about my success and how the Lord has brought me through it. And
I
just
love.
yeah, just talking about different achievements. Like for example, like Ice White Chocolate Mocha with the whole Starbucks collab with them. It's like one of my R&B songs that's just talk
Mhm.
which it talks about like it's about my future wife, just talking about the godly qualities, which describing her qualities that is sweet as my favorite Starbucks drink, which is a venti iced white chocolate mocha. And like which take it along with Take It Slow, IWCM, both made it into my recent album that I put out a couple of months ago called Song of Solomon, which is based on the actual book Song of Solomon. And
Mhm.
that album is gonna get a deluxe. It's
Oh,
coming very
cool.
soon.
That's
Very
awesome.
soon. Yeah, that's gonna be in the works.
Mhm.
Potentially, potentially, I'm not gonna promise it.
Okay.
Potentially
Okay.
fall, potentially fall 26.
Okay.
And then along with that, I have another project that is also in the works, not only the deluxe, but another one that is like way different. That sounds way different from what I usually make, which is called Peninsula.
Whoa. Okay, awesome. Well, I will definitely love to keep following along. And do you want to like tell them your socials or YouTube so
Of
that they can
course.
follow along?
Yes. Y'all can follow me on my socials at Solomon.riversflow. That's on my Instagram, TikTok, and on my YouTube. You'll definitely see a lot of content, a lot of reels from there, and all my recent stuff that I put out. And also,
Mhm.
you can listen to my music on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere on all streaming platforms, just as Solomon Rivers.
Well, Solomon, I loved getting to hear your story. Thank you for jumping on with me today.
No problem now. Hey, thank you, Hannah. Appreciate you.
Mhm.